No man can reveal to you aught but that which already lies half asleep in the dawning of your knowledge. The teacher who walks in the shadows of the temple among his followers gives not of his wisdom, but rather of his faith and his lovingness. If he is indeed wise, he does not bid you to enter the house of wisdom, but rather leads you to the threshold of your own mind. Bro, Khalil Gibran was just built different altogether. Dude's out here acting like the Iliad, the Odyssey, or God tier, but the prophet is just magnifique. I mean, maybe it's my desire to teach people how to find the answers for themselves coming out here, but bro really said lead them to the threshold of their own mind. And in my eyes, this is how we find wisdom. This is how we find the divine feminine. Nobody else can take you there. You got to go within yourself and do it. Like, enter into a meditative state, construct a threshold with your mind's eye. Intuition will naturally lead you from there, right? It's really simple. All right, now let's get it in because I got a few more tips to help you take that journey within. All right, what up, though? It's Justin, and on this episode of The Mystical Mind State, I want to make sure everyone has the tools they need to truly find wisdom. The feminine aspect of Godhead is what connects us all together, and it's the source of our intuition. She really nurtures our loving kindness for Earth, for each other, and for everything. So, anytime we're talking about Kabbalah and bridal mysticism as a means of internalizing non-dualism, obviously, the best source of archetypes that we can find is the Hebrew Scriptures. Not only do the patriarchs in the Tanakh give us glimpses into older societies like Sumer and Kemet, but we have centuries of rabbis, Christian mystics, and Western esotericists that have built on the tradition and given us fantastic mishnahs and commentaries that kind of build us up and teach us more and more layers just kind of unfold, yeah? Now, King Solomon happens to be my favorite. This man has a direct line through the ocean of our collective conscious that goes directly into my waking mind. Not only is he associated with the meditative path to a point that it's almost redundant, but one only has to look at the allegories behind his legend to learn. Like, what's the first thing King Solomon does? He says, "Give your servant, therefore, a listening heart to judge your people, and to distinguish between good and evil. For who is capable of giving judgment to this vast people of yours?" It was almost an aha moment for me instantaneously. Bro said we ask. Ask God for wisdom. Vocalize the desire, right? We're talking about mysticism 101 here. Manifestation kids know what's up. It sounds like it might be a simple prayer, but that's really not what he's getting at. It's a little bit deeper. In fact, he's following the exact methodology his father had before him. Some of you remember the story of Bathsheba and David where the king did some really foul-ish, right? He committed adultery, and then he didn't want to deal with it, so he just had hubby go out on the front line of this military campaign knowing he would die on the battlefield. Because, like, why would I tell him if I could just have him killed, right? So the way the story goes is his homeboy, like the prophet Nathan, essentially calls him out. It's like, yo, David, you got to make this right. So David went into this period of meditation known as hit by the dude, right? Hit by dead derives from badad, which means to be secluded. It's where prophets of old would go into these periods of isolation from everyone else. They went away and they went inwards. That's why so many of King David's psalms make such fantastic mantras, because they're mantras. David would have more than likely written most of them in seclusion and repeated them internally to himself as a sort of prayer, right? Rabbis attribute a very specific Tehillim, a psalm, to this period of David's life, and that's Psalms 51. He says, "Create in me a clean heart, O God." The word for clean that's used here is tahor, right? And is traditionally translated as pure in the Hebrew readings. Now, according to Rabbi Maimonides, the type of pure heart David is praying for is a heart and mind free from all external thoughts and deeds, yeah? Heart and mind in this sense would be more recognizable to our modern minds if we used the words conscious and subconscious, right? It's a unitive state where there is no separation from us and the Supreme Being. In a nutshell, the actions we consciously choose with our minds have a direct effect on how our hearts connect to the divine. Yes, it's our hearts that connect. We see this reflected with the opening words that David uses. Bara, to shape, create. And this goes beyond like a king talking 3,000 years ago. Like, think about it. The Torah literally starts with bara. Bereshit bara Elohim. In the beginning when God created. He's speaking to the beginningless I am. Anytime we see bara, we should immediately think of God's creative activities. David is speaking directly to the ground of all being and asking to be created anew. He's going deep into his heart space and asking the Creator to restore him. So when he continues his rhetoric and hits him with that renew a steadfast spirit within me, he isn't just asking for forgiveness. He is speaking to the wounded heart that his actions cause, not just himself and the people around him, but the Creator themselves. Because the I Am sees all that we do, guys. He's asking that his heart be repaired to wholeness. This kind of wholeness found in deep, deep meditation where heart and mind are one. Come on, I know you feel me on that one. Now, think of Solomon. Give your servant a listening heart, one that is in tune with the beginningless I within. Thus is the nature of wisdom. See, ours is the path of the rose. The rose is an old school symbol of unfolding energy centers within us. So when medieval Rosicrucians urge us to construct a temple at the heart of the rose, they're urging us to tap into the source code. It's like saying, go to Mother Earth for guidance because we're out of balance. And Tiferet is where we find balance. Our masculine consciousness and our feminine life force are out of step with each other. So how do we correct it? Like I said, our heart space is associated with Tiferet. The Sefer Bahir says, is the adorned, glorious, delightful throne of glory, like Shekinah glory, the house of the world to come. Its place is engraved in wisdom as it says. God said, let there be light, and there was light. All right then. Olam Haba means the world to come. It's the same one that Yehoshua talks about in the Gospels. So think of what Yehoshua tells us in Luke. The coming of the kingdom cannot be observed, physically perceived, for behold, the kingdom of God, Olam Haba, is within. So this whole heart of the rose is a hardcore mystery we uncover in meditation. Our friends further to the east are like, yes, Anahata, the heart chakra, the center where we find balance. Now let me show you something. The three lower chakras each have these triangles pointing upwards, right? Well, notice the three above the heart have triangles facing down. Now we're talking a purely mystical intersection here, but look at the symbol for Anahata and tell me something. Does that look like the Star of David? It's almost like the 6-point star is a symbol for balance between the spiritual and physical planes of existence. You can't make this up, guys. So what does it mean to construct a temple at the heart of the rose? You got it. It's about coming into balance and finding our balance by tapping into the divine feminine. So through your mind's eye, you visualize the temple being built where your heart is. If it helps, picture really ancient woods and just come into your heart. Spend as much time as you need feeling. And I mean weeks if you need weeks. Just feel in touch with the center of your being and sit with it. When you're ready to visualize whatever sacred space means to you, then construct your temple however you think it should look. Once you've established what it looks like, you enter whenever you're ready. Sit there and meditate for however long you can. Just make sure you set aside time every day to retreat into this inner sanctum of the heart. Once you've come to feel at home in your heart space, ask God for wisdom. Remember the words of Yehoshua, everyone who asks receives, the one who seeks finds, and to the one that knocks, the door shall be opened. Welcome to the Rose Path, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so now that you've come to the threshold of your mind, there's really nothing more for me to share. However, I do want to hear of your experiences when she does reveal herself to you, so shoot a message on any one of the social media platforms when that happens, because I really live for this, guys. Now, thank you for letting me pass on the gift of wisdom that's been so freely given to us all. I love y'all. Peace be with you.